Well, welcome to Inside the Cave. Today's broadcast sponsor is American National Insurance. Insurance you can count on for wherever life takes you. American National Insurance continues to be a major partner of Missouri State Athletics and has significantly grown their presence within the program over the last year. Most of our fans are perhaps familiar with the quarterback sack in football and block shots in basketball being sponsored by American National Insurance, with each one earning a charitable donation to a local organization. Well, this spring, American National has chosen Camp Barnabas as their latest recipient. With me today from American National Insurance is Jennifer Henry, and from Camp Barnabas is Debbie Weatherman. Thank you both for being here. Jennifer, if you can, please tell us a little bit about your partnership with Missouri State Athletics, as well as your commitment to Camp Barnabas.
Sure, Art. Thanks for having me. We really value our partnership with Missouri State Athletics, and we feel they're just such an integral part of the Springfield community. So growing our partnership this past year has also allowed us to give back to nonprofits in our community in a really unique way. It's organizations like Camp Barnabas that look to serve our community and make it stronger that American National is really proud to support. So Camp Barnabas plays such an important role to the families that they serve. So we at American National are really happy to donate $3,000 to help you fulfill your mission.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Debbie.
No, I was just thanking her. You go ahead.
Camp Barnabas is a wonderful organization, and Debbie, you might want to explain a little bit about its mission.
Yes, gladly. So Camp Barnabas serves individuals with special needs and chronic illnesses each summer. As you know, we had to make the heartbreaking decision this summer to cancel camp due to the COVID. However, we're still connecting with our campers and our missionaries, and we're doing a virtual camp for them this summer. We're really excited about that, to still be able to connect with our campers and let them know that they're not alone. But this donation was so crucial to sustaining our ministry this summer and also making sure we're around next summer for our campers. So thank you again, Jennifer and American National, for making such a difference.
But thank you both so much for being here today, and thanks again to American National Insurance for its continued support of Missouri State Athletics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we now bring in Missouri State head football coach Bobby Petrino. And Coach, welcome. Hope you and yours are staying well through all this.
Hey, Art, how you doing? Yeah, we're doing good.
Good. A challenging time, obviously one that none of us has ever been through before. You had no spring football. How have you been communicating with your players and teaching them your systems virtually?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that we've really tried to relate to our players is to be positive and be safe, do the things they're supposed to do to keep themselves happy and are healthy and their families healthy. And then we've basically been setting up schedules where once finals were over with, we were able to get back on Zoom meetings with them and have meetings with position meetings. We do a little bit of special teams meeting, and we do little group meetings with offense and defense. So it's something that I feel like they're doing a good job of. It's been great the last week to hear them answer questions and be more on top of it, and more understanding of what we've been teaching them. And our players' attitudes have been very, very good.
From a conditioning standpoint, I mean, I just imagine that's going to vary wildly depending on circumstances of the individual and honestly their individual motivation, but in some cases what they are able to do during this. So maybe you can get some control over that when they get back on campus soon, but I imagine there's going to be a little disparity there in conditioning because gyms have been inaccessible for the most part.
Yeah, I think that's the great unknown, is how everybody's physical conditioning is going to be. A number of the players did workouts at home, had to improvise and adjust and use different things to get their workouts in. Some players did have access to weights and access to gyms and were able to work out there. They did just pass a rule that says that we can start getting them back in our weight room June 1st. or the week of the first week of June. It won't exactly be the first day of June, but to be able to get them back in the weight room and be with our strength and conditioning staff will really help. And I think nationally, there's been a lot of talk about how many weeks do we need of practice to be able to get ready for the first game. I think it's going to end up being somewhere between 6 to 4 weeks, but they are extending it out with the thoughts of maybe 6 weeks of work to really understand what condition and what shape they're in, and then be able to progress and get them in game playing shape. So we're going to just keep improvising and adjusting. Our players are excited to get back to Springfield and get training on a regular basis, but it's still yet to be seen.
Yeah, how's that going to look? I mean, in terms initially, when things reopen of training room and weight room and all like that, under what limitations will you be initially?
Well, a number of limitations, some are set up by the NCAA, some by the state of Missouri, some by Springfield, some by the county, and we have to follow every guideline. Right now, we're under the understanding that we'll probably have between 4 and 5 groups, less than 25 in a group. So somewhere, 20, 21 guys is what we're kind of looking at. Be able to go into the weight room at a particular time during the day. When they finish lifting, then they're going to be cleaning and making sure that it's sterile and ready to go for the next group, and then be able to go outside and do conditioning and run and change directions. And we'll have to be gradual with that, because the thing we don't want to do is have any muscle pulls and setbacks physically. So we'll take our time and really understand what kind of shape they're in and what we need to do to get them to improve and get better. But most of our players will be living in their apartments. Just to get on campus, we have to go through quite a few steps, and the players will have to fill out a questionnaire of where they've been, what they've been doing, where they traveled from, have they been around anyone with COVID, and then they'll have to take a test. And there will be a turnaround time on the test. So whether that's a day or 2 or 3 days, we'll have to wait for that. And then once they have a negative test, then they would be allowed to come into the weight room and work out. And then every day when they get here, there's a process too. They would have to go to the training, report to the training room, have their temperature taken, clean their hands, clean their face, and then go in and be able to work out. So one of the things that we're going to make sure we do is everything right, so that we can make sure that everybody stays healthy.
Today's broadcast partner is American National Insurance, and also the DoubleTree by Hilton Springfield, located at Glenstone and Kearney, where a warm cookie always awaits your arrival. Well, Coach, what's your sense now of what you have in terms of personnel without ever having seen him actually out on a football field?
Yeah, there's a lot of unknown. There's no question about that. And we have an idea of some of their physical attributes: strength, size, speed, change of direction, because we did have winter workouts. But we really don't know how they play the game of football and how they utilize their skills in the game of football. And then we do have, I think, a talented group of guys coming in. And, the playing field is going to be even for all of them. They're going to have to go out and determine the depth. I've always felt like the players determine the depth. Your teammates know who the starter should be, who the backup should be. So they've got to go out and compete for that on a daily basis. I do like the fact that we have experience coming back on the offensive line. So we have to be able to build on that and learn our new scheme and be able to protect the quarterback. We should have great competition at quarterback, so that therefore everyone will get better. And I like the speed that we have in some of the receivers and running backs that are coming in. Defensively, the transition is to get bigger and faster on the defensive line. So we're going to need help with some of our newcomers in that respect. I like a couple of the linebackers that we have coming in that have experience playing at the junior college level and competing and physical players. And then our secondary is one that we think will be good at corner. We've got to do some developing and building at the safety position.
Well, the timing of your hiring, of course, didn't allow for a lot of numbers of recruits because the first recruiting season had already happened. But you were able to bring in some, and you talked about JUCO linebacker. You brought in the National JUCO Defensive Player of the Year, and offensively, apparently a very skilled quarterback with whom you had a prior relationship that transferred from an FBS school. So from that standpoint, plus what the previous staff had recruited in December, I guess that's your new coming group of which you speak.
Yeah, and I thought the previous staff did a good job with the recruits that they brought here and mixing up between the positions, wide receivers and defensive backs, which were certainly in need. Some talented guys. I really like Jaden Johnson, the quarterback that's going to transfer here and should be in town around June 1st and ready to go. Terrell Roberts was another guy we were able to recruit who's a wide receiver that's legitimately fast. You know, I think he got third place in Georgia in the 100 meters a year ago. Told me he would win it this year, but didn't get the chance to compete. But he's ran about a 10.500 meter, and that's really fast. And a guy that will be able to turn short throws into big gains and touchdown plays for us. And then on defense, getting bigger and stronger on the defensive front through recruiting. I think we helped ourselves there. We got a great pass rusher, Isaiah Sales, who I think everybody's going to like. He's extremely athletic and fast and strong. And another one that we kind of signed really late here. And then, the defensive backs, I think, will have to come in and contribute.
Once again, today's broadcast is being brought to you by American National Insurance, insurance you can count on for wherever life takes you. And a special thank you as well to the Missouri State Bookstore. Shop online at MissouriStateBookstore.com for all your bearware needs. Well, Coach, you've obviously coached at the very highest levels of college football. I'm sure, though, you are very familiar with this particular level, this conference, the Missouri Valley, and I know you have undoubtedly been looking deeply into that since your hiring. What's your sense of this level of competition in this conference and how the Bears intend to compete in it?
Well, I believe it's the best conference, obviously, in the FCS level in the in the United States. They have the team North Dakota State, who's been the conference champion and 8-time national champion. So certainly that's a great challenge for us. But it's very competitive. There's going to be 4 teams normally that will make the playoffs, and we've got a lot of work to do. But I do, when I watch video and watch the other teams in the conference, I feel like that gives us an opportunity to really understand that we can compete with them. And we've just got to do a really good job of teaching our players early. We might have to cut back on what we feel like we're going to do, because that's really the thing, is we got to find what our identity is very quickly without having practiced in spring football. So that's a great challenge. But we'll cut back and try to really get good at something. I think that's one thing. We'll get good at something and then expand our offense, defense, and special teams as the year goes on.
Talk a little bit, if you would, about your staff. We had a really nice noon event, seems like a year ago, but I guess it was in late February, at which we had a room full of people and all your staff were there, and they had an opportunity to introduce themselves and talk specifically about the areas that they coach. Talk about your staff and how they have come together.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the staff we were able to put together. We've got coaches that have played in the NFL. We've got coaches that have coached at the highest level of Division I football. Coaches that have played for me or worked with me that really understand how we like to go about our business. Pretty good mix in energy, as far as some real high emotion, very passionate coaches, some guys that are great teachers and rely more on their teaching. So it's just putting it all together and getting the right mesh. But I really like the chemistry that we have. Everybody's been very dedicated and very passionate about going about their business. I felt really good yesterday when I joined in on some of the Zoom meetings and heard the players answering the questions that they were being asked in the same verbiage that the coaches coach it at. And that's, I think, we're starting to learn if they can say the same words we say and they can draw things the same way we draw them, then I think we're getting closer to being able to understand what's going on. So the staff's going to be very energetic. We're going to try to play with a lot of passion and a lot of energy and a lot of focus, and and be very aggressive. I think offensively, we've got to take our shots down the field with big plays, and defensively, we're not just going to sit back and let them drive the ball down the field. We're going to have to be aggressive and come after them with some pressure.
Special thank you to today's broadcast sponsor, American National Insurance. We'd also like to thank Hotel Vandevort, Springfield's first urban boutique hotel. So you talked about getting really good in one or two areas, and one thing that came out of that luncheon in February was a confidence across the board that you're going to put points on the board. And I'm sure that comes from confidence in your system and the way it's worked in the past.
Yeah, I think the number one thing we have to do is teach our players to believe that. I want to be able to take the field, and every time we go out on the field, we truly believe we're going to go down and score. And we've had many teams that have done that. I like to be aggressive. I like to score a lot of points. I grew up as an assistant coach, coaching quarterbacks and being an offensive coordinator, where we were allowed to do that and be exciting and do it. So I feel like we'll be able to score points. Hopefully we can do it right away. But I know at some point we will for sure, but it might take a little time to get everything put together. But we're not very patient. We want to make sure we can do it right away.
Now, one thing that some people may not be aware of, because they are so aware of your head coaching record, but you grew up actually around an NAIA program in Montana. So you've got familiarity with all levels of college football.
Yeah, my dad was the head coach at Carroll College, which is an NAIA program in Helena, Montana. He was a head coach there for 29 years. He's been inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame and Montana Hall of Fame. And I learned a lot from him, and he motivated me to work extremely hard and believe in your players. One of the things my dad truly believed is you can always find a way to win. Find out what your players do well, ask them to do that, and believe in yourself. So we're gonna try to really make sure we get our players to believe in themselves and believe in their teammate, the guy next to them, and get in a position where we can rely on each other to do their job.
Everybody is obviously having to adjust to these circumstances, and even as we come out of the physical limitations, there are going to be some budgetary limitations and some serious consequences all across the educational scene, not just athletics. So what, for example, what might travel look like? You got 4 really long trips: North Dakota, South Dakota, Tarleton State, Northern Iowa. Those are all 7-8 hours or more. Normally, those would be air charters. What may not all be this year?
Yeah, they may not all be. We're looking into all the options right now, but there could be a situation to a couple of the games where we practice on Thursday, get on a bus after practice, and go down the freeway, 4 or 5 hours, and then stay overnight there. Get up on Friday morning and have study hall and work on academics, and then drive the rest of the way in on Friday. The biggest challenge is the next week when you take a trip like that, because you're going to have to drive all the way back after the game, and then be able to get ready for your next opponent. So we do have a bye after one of those long trips, so we'll probably bus to that one, which helps a lot, having a bye after it. Another one is the last game of the season, so that we would be very fortunate there. I think the number one thing we're going to do as a staff and as a team is not worry about what we don't have, but just be thankful for what we do have, and the fact that if we get to play, that we're doing something we love to do.
Today's broadcast sponsor is American National Insurance. We'd also like to thank Bambino's Cafe. Great food, great service, your neighborhood. Order Bambino's to go at bambinoscafe.com. So that brings us to, Coach, how confident are you that we're going to have the season as it's currently scheduled?
Well, I think it's going to work out. I'm more encouraged every day and every week. And as the time passes, it seems like we're going in a positive direction. We're going to knock on wood and hope that everything stays going forward and we don't have setbacks. I think that's the biggest thing, is to not have a major setback. So, but the plans that the governors around the country have put into place, and the states that have opened, and things have been going well. So hopefully we just continue to do that, and we learn more about it. And maybe it'll be like the old czars one, because we were really worried about that years before, and it burned out. So let's get it hot out here, get the sun out, and have about 3 months of heat, and see if we can get rid of this thing.
Absolutely. Well, today's fan question is courtesy of Greek Corner Screen Printing and Embroidery, Missouri State Athletics official screen printing partner. The fan question, Coach: over the years, you've worked with a plethora of great quarterbacks, and that was how it was phrased, plethora. What are some common characteristics that those quarterbacks shared that you can attribute to their success?
Yeah, number one would be being great leaders. I think that's one of the things that quarterbacks need to be, and the ability to make the people around them better is what I call a great leader, someone that elevates the other players on the team. Quarterbacks have to have a good football IQ. They've got to be able to understand what it is we're trying to do, and get to a point where they believe in what the calls are, because they understand what we're doing, attack and defense, and they have the confidence to change what I'll call a bad call, or if the defense makes it a bad call, they have the knowledge and the confidence out on the field to change the play and get us out of a bad play into a good play. Obviously, you got to be able to throw the football, but we've had different talents as far as throwing it. Some that are really strong and can throw it deep, some that were shorter and more accurate, and some that were wild and we had to tame down. So we feel like with practice and with time, we can get them throwing the ball the way that we need to. But, the ability to be just a tremendous competitor and want to win, and work hard to win, put the work in during the week to win a game, I think is critical.
So before we wrap it up, speaking of competitors and changing sports, but during the pandemic, did you get a chance to see any of the Last Dance series on ESPN about Michael Jordan?
What's funny about it is I didn't get to watch any of it. I don't really turn the channel to ESPN a whole lot. I guess because you work at it all day long, but I can't tell you how many messages I've got from people asking me if I watched it, or what did you think of Jordan hating Isaiah Thomas? And I mean, it was like people telling me all about it. So I'm going to go back, I think, and watch it, just because he's the ultimate competitor and probably one of the greatest players ever in the world. So I'll probably go back and watch it, and just because of how much everybody's talked about it.
And you and your family probably haven't gotten a chance to really settle into Springfield. I mean, maybe you did for a month or so, and then everything shut down. So hopefully, while welcoming your players back, you'll get to enjoy some of the community here this summer.
Yeah, no doubt. We got a chance to settle in our house. We know where everything is in the house, all four walls, and that's a long time to be locked up. But I'll tell you what we did is we were able to get out and walk a lot. So we got out to go different places and walk and see things throughout the city, and go down by the river and walk down there. We took a few trips down to Branson and walked down in that area. So we tried to see as much as we could without going out and being around people. So, but I am looking forward to seeing it. I enjoy Springfield when I was here before, and I think it's going to be an exciting place. And I see more and more things that we have that I didn't even know about here just in the last week.
Coach, stay safe. We appreciate having you here, and thanks for your time for Inside the Cave.
Thanks, Art. I appreciate it, and you have a great one.
You do the same. This has been Inside the Cave, presented by American National Insurance. Insurance you can count on for wherever life takes you. Thanks for joining us on Inside the Cave.